I want to bring in Ellis Ross, who's a BC MLA and who was also an Indigenous leader that served for 14 years on one of the 20 elected band councils that signed the agreement with Coastal GasLink. He joins me from Victoria. Mr. Ross, good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
So I've been following your Twitter feed. You've been very active and vocal, not only in your support of the gas line and the need for it, but also addressing those who say they are in support of the gas line. For example, Sephora Berman, who is a known environmentalist in British Columbia. So give us a little bit, if you could, first of all, why you support this pipeline. What does it mean to you and your people?
Well, mainly, it's the same reason why we signed on to forest and range agreements. It basically provides a way out of the crippling poverty that First Nations endure all across Canada. 80 to 90% unemployment, the highest rates of suicide, the highest rates of people going to prison, the highest rates of our children going to care. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and keep expecting different results, that's the definition of stupidity. Now, it's going to take a mind shift like what my community did. Like if you want to come see success based on the Aboriginal Rights and Title case law that was established in the courts of BC and Canada that actually provides a fair process, yeah, there was a roadmap made. And my main point is two things. Stop using Aboriginal issues and Aboriginal Rights and Title for your own agendas and stop playing politics with it. Because if you keep doing this, you're going to find yourself in the mess that we find Canada in today.
You disagree with some of the protesters that have sprung up who say they're in support of the Wet'suwet'en. Why?
Because it's not the Wet'suwet'en that said, let's shut down Canada. There's 4 or 5 separate communities that represent the Wet'suwet'en Nation. They're not the ones that said shut down Canada. The elected leadership of those communities did not say shut down Canada. Those matriarchs that Premier Horgan talked about, they're not the ones that said shut down Canada. So the question remains now, who said that? Who gave that directive? And who is doing this, pitting Canadian against Canadian? I'd love to find out that answer.
Well, the hereditary chiefs, the ones who have made their way across the country to thank, the people who are protesting at the one particular blockade in Belleville, it seems like they're the ones who made the call, Mr. Ross. And so are you saying that you disagree with their claims to their hereditary titles?
Disagree with their claims? No, I was asking about who sent the order out to shut down Canada.
Right, but in their claims...
That's what I said.
In their claims of being the hereditary chiefs, they say they have authority, not the bands.
Yeah, and I've heard this. The Unity of BC Indian Chiefs said this as well. And the Unity of BC Indian Chiefs went further and said Indian elected councils are only good for everything on reserve. And I want to know, where did you guys get this narrative? Where is this principle? Because I read Delgamu, and I never saw this principle come out. I've read other case law, and I haven't come across this before. So where are you guys getting this narrative? I would like to know. In fact, if anything, every single community has got to answer this question on their own. They've got to decide who represents them, because Aboriginal Rights and Title is actually owned by the community. It's not owned by a group or individuals, so it only stands to reason the community should ask, who represents us in these questions? I
think the interpretation of Delgamuuk, though, was that the hereditary chiefs never ceded claim, never ceded title.
That's right.
And so this is where the hereditary chiefs are getting their perceived authority.
But, so are you reading into it that the hereditary leadership has jurisdiction on tidal lands?
I believe that's what their understanding is, yes.
No, I'm asking you, is it, like, if you read Delgamu, if you read that court case, and you read other court cases that actually dealt with title, that doesn't come out. And you use the key word, interpretation.
Correct.
Now, the way case law is designed, it's open to interpretation. But that kind of gives you some narratives that actually might not be right.
Well, and that is the
window. It might not be right, because I've never read that.
That is the window, though, into this whole issue, Mr. Ross, is that within the Wet'suwet'en community itself, there are different interpretations, and it is the people themselves who need to figure it out. Isn't that right?
That's right. That's right. That's what I've been saying for 2 years.
And so how do you see this ending? How do these blockades come down?
I don't think it'll come down because it's proven to be effective in terms of what these groups want. And by the way, it's not the Wet'suwet'en people that are doing this. It's not the Aboriginal people. And what these protesters, the blockaders are doing, and I don't know if they know it or not, you're actually putting Aboriginals in a very bad spot. And you get the anonymity of wearing a mask or a balaclava because you're afraid of the violence. Well, what about my band members that just want to get on with their lives and go shopping, and they get accosted by somebody that couldn't get to work or couldn't put food on their table, or couldn't make their mortgage payment? This is reckless. You are dividing the country, and this is not the Wet'suwet'en behind this.
BC MLA Ellis Ross, I wish we had more time, but I do appreciate yours today. Thank you.
Thank you.